there's a school here in Washington that teaches the 3 R's curriculum, and the kids came up with their own little game called Molest Me Mondays.
Oh my goodness.
And so kids were touching each other, playing a game. The boys were touching the girls, and the teachers, parents didn't know until finally somebody reported it.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Sefcik, and I'm running for State House of Representatives in the 42nd District in Washington State. There are many issues concerning our state right now, and one of those still has to do with House Bill 5395, which was passed along party lines in the spring. It's called Comprehensive Sex Ed. The reason it is still a topic is because it set off a firestorm across our state. Parents felt like their voices were not heard, and so an action was begun to get a referendum on the ballot. Now, this was all during a pandemic. It happened, and we made Washington state history by getting over double the number of signatures required. This is called R-90. This means, since we got it approved, that it will be on the ballot in the fall. And so we're here to talk about some of the issues surrounding this referendum and the issues buried within it that you'll be hearing as we move forward to the general election in November. So I have with me a friend today. Her name is Erin Dawson, and she's a very concerned parent and has been very involved in getting education and information out to voters. So we're going to start and just talk about what is comprehensive sex ed and why is there such a controversy about this topic?
Yes, CSE, Comprehensive Sexual Education, is not just your normal basic sex ed that we all learned in school. It is sexuality education. And it's much of the curriculum is graphic in nature, I think inappropriate for our kids to be learning in school. Mm-hmm. Also, another thing about this law is it is unfunded. It's an unfunded mandate, which means schools will have to come up with their own curriculum, and then they have to submit it to OSPI for approval, and it's very costly. Most districts can't afford to do this, and so that leads them with the 3 R's curriculum, which is a very controversial curriculum that the state provides for free.
Okay, so what are some of the things that we might hear about this curriculum for proponents that are talking about it, such as protecting children from abuse? How does that compute?
Right, I don't see how that's possible with teaching sexuality at a young age.
It seems like it would be more encouraging exploration and making them comfortable with these lines, boundaries that are being broken down.
Exactly. And in fact, there's a school here in Washington that teaches the 3 R's curriculum, and the kids came up with their own little game called Molest Me Mondays.
Oh my goodness.
And so kids were touching each other, playing a game. The boys were touching the girls, and the teachers, parents didn't know until finally somebody reported it.
So as we're looking at this curriculum, what was that got parents so upset about what's in the curriculum?
Yeah, I think it's the lessons that are taught are too much too soon for our kids. One example is a 7th grade lesson that teaches that co-bathing, that they should co-bathe as a safe way to get to know each other and self-pleasure, and it's just not. It's
and as
not
a way to
appropriate.
avoid STDs. Right?
And a way to avoid STDs, correct.
And another thing I remember looking at was the earlier elementary lessons where they had the genderbread person telling the students that their gender begins in their mind, not in their biology.
Right.
So I think that could obviously be very confusing.
Right. There is a lesson that teaches that doctors they might get it right, your gender. There's a lesson in the CSE curriculum, young, kindergarten, first, second grade, that doctors might get it right. The gender, guessing the gender. So it's no longer based on your body parts. It's based on what, eventually what you think you are.
So what do we do going forward into November?
What we want to do going into November, we mentioned that we had the R-90 referendum 90, and we were able to collect a record number of signatures to get it on the ballot this November. So we're asking everybody who's opposed to this curriculum to please reject R-90, and that will repeal the law, which is our goal.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Erin, for your time today.
Thank you,
discussing
Jennifer.
this.
Thank you.
All right.